What's up, my Power Crew? Today's video, let's just say I was digging through some old footage and I found where I put the stinger on my 91. I'd like to give a shout out to Trail Tubes for sending it to me. It's an awesome product. You guys really need to check them out. trailtubes.com. Great people to work with. They sell raw kits, not no finished doors or anything like that. They bend the tubing up for you, you fabricate the rest. So it's not too uncommon for someone to have a welder in their arsenal or their shop or whatever the case may be, but benders are quite a bit more expensive. They're more of a specialty type of tool. So if you want a set of doors or stinger tubes or even the grill guard goes around your headlights and all that, they got that for you. But like I said, it's already pre-bent. You cut, you fabricate, you weld, all that good fun stuff. So if this sounds like a video you want to check out, let's do this. I worked on my bumper. I wanted a stinger set up on this, so Trail Tubes hooked me up with this mighty fine piece of work here. And so what we need to do is figure out exactly how I'm going to mount it in. A lot of your stingers, like poison spider, whatever, they're set at about 45-degree angle. So what we're going to do is, this is a fabricator's best friend. This and the thicker foam stuff to make your patterns for doing cuts for angles on tubes and making brackets. Do it out of the paper, therefore you get everything fitting like you want to, trace it out on the metal, and you're rocking. So this is going to become our best friend here in just a moment. Now what you want to do is take you a piece of that cardboard right there, that construction paper for like kitty crafts, cut you off a little length of it, and I've got approximately 3.5 inches here. I'm kind of wishing I'll probably cut it off by 5, but I think I'm okay though. And what you want to do is take your straight factory cut edge, line it up here, and you'll make yourself a little tube. See there? It's right along that edge right there. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to get my square, will cut me a 45-degree angle on the paper. Then I'll test fit it on my bumper down here. And if I can set the angles just like makes me feel all warm and fuzzy, that's proper setting, I'll use that paper right there to mark my tube with, which will be my cut place for my tube. Sound easy? Not so bad. And there's my little angle cut guides. I use my little angle doohickey thingy here. I set that on 45 degrees, laid it along, like my template, I folded it on the sides right here, laid it out here. This at 45, setting on 45 degrees, like that. And just took my blade, sliced it right down through there. We got the first one cut, flattened this one out like that, laid them right on top of each other, turn around, slice that one also. So whenever you put your paper on there, put it on there where it fits around the tube, and then when you put your tape on there, just kind of, you want it to conform to it, but you don't want it to squeeze the tube, okay? So anyway, what we got to do now is take each one of these pieces, your templates here, put them back on the end of the tubes. And that's what we're going to use to set our guide for where we cut our cut lines. Okay, I got tired of fighting it, so what I ended up doing is taking the short side right here, taking the blade, go ahead and slicing it. I'll open it back up, and you can see right here I need to cut the V out of the paper here. There. Cut it out of the paper tape. And there's going to be our pattern. Okay, here's what we're doing with our little paper templates. Yes, we got to establish a 45 degrees on this, which really isn't hard because you can always take your angle finder and say, yay, hey, look there, 45 degrees, we're good to go. Not quite that simple because you got compounding angles here. One, you got the tilt this way, but the leg of the hoop is also tilting that way. So your 45 isn't going to be like, I guess you might call straight up square. If that tube was coming straight up like that, it'd be an easy cut. But since the tube is going off at an angle and need to be cut 45, it's best to make your little template. Now, let me show you something. Notice that the template, notice that your pipe is sitting here. It's nowhere near touching the template's nowhere near touching the pipe. You're going to be thinking, now what do we do? That's confusing. Not so much. What we're going to do next is get us a straight edge. You kind of see where that crease is right here, where we made our 45 cut. We're going to draw us a line straight up this right here and come straight up the tube. Because what that's going to do is allow me to establish a center line to slide my paper guide up, my paper template, slide it up the tube. Then I'll have plenty of metal sticking out down here to know where to make my cut lines at. Make sense? Okay, tell you what. I kind of explained it to you. I'm going to go ahead and make my marks. Then I'll slide this up and you'll see better what I'm talking about. Okay, there's my line for that side. And also notice how I've got this positioned. I've got using mule tape here, tied to my grill, kind of hold that 45-degree angle in place where I've got it barely bumped against this edge here to hold it in place. So utilize whatever method you got. If you got some paracord, which I have paracord, and this is the first thing I grabbed. And what I was doing is taking my angle finder, putting it here. I've got the rope anchored there. It comes around under here, back over like this, goes through that top of that winch and comes back. Therefore I could tighten or release rope, which will change the pitch of the angle of this right here. And once I've got the pitch here of this angle coming up like where I wanted it, I just simply tied it up here to hold it in place. Ingenuity, do what you got to do to make it get done. Okay, I've checked my rotation this way to make sure it comes down flush. Let's do it again for the fun of it. Look at that, look at that. And look at my line here. Bring it straight up. Bring it straight up. Come on now. Keep her straight. Slide, dang it. You want to watch the tip of your paper here on the very end, because you want it, if you're not taking any other length out of this, you want to be sure the tip of this is right on the end of that tube. Alright. Now again, this will put you in the very close ballpark. But before we start actually burning this thing in for the weld, we may have to finesse the cut surface a little bit. So then you take the marker, come right along the edge of the paper. And there you go, you see how it's done. Now we'll go ahead and mark the other side. And we move the paper up. Look at yonder, we have our cut lines. I just pulled out the chop saw and just did it. This side right here looking pretty good, perfectly flush cut. Got some masking tape just kind of holding it in place, because where I've got it sitting at my 45-degree angle, I checked it with the angle finder, and I hit my angle just dead on the money right there. So that's wanting to slide, so I just kind of a little tape to hold it in place. Over here, I've got everybody against these bolts right here to hold it in place, keep from it sliding out. And also show you something real quick. I'm a little bit off on this side. Get that white behind, so maybe it get a better look. See, I got a little bit of a gap right there. Easy fix. Where I said a moment ago, if you get your cut a little bit off, you just take your grinder, and where I'm high on this side, I'll take the grinder on this side and just keep taking a little bit of metal off at a time until that whole side sits down and closes up that gap. Easy fix, not a big deal. Okay, you got our setup about ready to start welding. Ground off the paint through here so we get a good clean weld. I beveled the edge back on this right here. Beveling, you take, for the people who don't know how to fabricate, weld, whatever, what you want to do is take the bottom edge right here and tilt it back at a 45-degree angle. Take the grinder, just hit the surface of the bottom of this, tilt it back at a 45, so therefore when you take your bead, run your weld in right into this right here, you'll get a good penetration, a good strong weld. So I just kind of took my little sharpening marker right here, just kind of placed it and marked it, because I'm going to do something underneath this right here. Just for the kicks and giggles, I'm going to drill me a hole, bore me a hole in this plate underneath this. So therefore, if I want to get creative later on and do something with the hoop up here, I can't make it with mine. Because I want to take have me something to hook my winch rope whenever I change over to synthetic rope. Bring it up here and have a place for my hook to stay at. So I keep thinking about getting me some 3/8 steel rod, which I have some. Make me like a spider web pattern up here or something. But I also thought about doing like a, you see like some of the high-end stingers that has a plate out here. Maybe do something cool and like draw like my Fixed Jeeps logo or something. Put that inside here. Backlight it with some LED, do something cool. I don't know, who knows. Hence the reason that down inside here I'm going to bore a hole just in case, so I can run my wire through here. So I'll knock a hole in right here behind the plate when I weld it in, and I'll run the wire down the tube and it'll come out that hole right there, and I can run it back to wherever I need to run it. So, but that's going to be for a future project. Not anytime soon. It won't be on this video. That'll be a separate video. So I got this place centered where I want it. I'm going to pick this up, go ahead and knock my hole in right here. Got to knock me a 1-inch hole in right there. If look, here's my marker where the pad, where the bottom of the stinger hoop's set on the metal. I'm using 3/16 plate. This is scrap stuff I had laying around. I thought, hey, I'm going to build me a bumper out of it. Notice where my hole is. Notice where the weld line's going to be. I've still got plenty of parent metal right here to help to retain the strength. I didn't want to run this all the way out to the edge, because then it kind of gives a stress point where, in the event that the stinger hoop is ever used, and I pushed it close a couple times when I was playing, but I wanted to have plenty of metal here to help retain its strength. And I think I'm going to put some braces on the back side of it, but we'll talk about that later. But I just want to put my hole in a place where my weld still have plenty of room, plenty of penetration, and plenty of metal to bond to this. Look at there, it's hanging there all by itself now. Yay! It's just tacked in. I just got a couple tacks going around each side. We got her all welded on now. Welds there. I've already taken some brake cleaner, sprayed all over this right here. Took my paper towels there, wiped it down real well to get some of the grease, some of the oil. Because these tubes, when you order them, they come with like a coating over them, prevents them from rusting. So before you lay any paint on them, clean it real well with some brake cleaner, wipe it down. Now I'm going to take some of this cloth right here. You see right there where I've already started a little bit on it. Before it's sanded down good. So the paint has a little bit of a bite. Now it's not quite finished yet because I still got to do my fair lead. But what I don't want is for it to start rusting. So for right now, I'm going to get this back under paint so it doesn't start rusting. And my next step, I'll start welding in my fair lead, fabricating it. A couple primer coats laid down to help prevent rusting and seal up the metal. You see right over there where I started shooting black, and I thought, you know what? Let's do a primer shot real quick. Now, I'm laying all this paint on there, but eventually, whenever it's done, I'm going to do a bed liner coating over it. I'm just doing various spray paints right now just to prevent it from rusting, because this is one of those projects I work on every now and then. So Trail Tubes hooked me up with this right here, so I just had to get it on there because it just looks badass. That's why. But like I said a moment ago, still got to do my fair lead, which that's probably going to be next weekend's project. I shot that video probably about 3 years ago, and I still haven't hooked up my winch, still haven't put my fair lead mounting stuff in. It goes to show that I work a lot more than I play. But at least I can get that video out for you to show you guys how to shape that tube to fit to the bumper, so you can cut it to make it fit with your bumper. Now, bear in mind, there's that one little mishap where the had a little bit of a gap on that side. My mistake, your education, so I'll show you guys how to fix that. The only thing I figured that may have happened is that whenever I slid the paper up the template, that I may have rotated a little bit and didn't notice it, or I used it on the chop saw, and when I cut it with the chop saw, maybe I had the tube, the whole stinger tube, maybe I had the stinger tube just a little bit out of whack when I brought the saw down. Who knows what the reason was. But again, that little bit of a mishap allowed me to show you guys how to fix that. No problem. So if you guys enjoyed this video, hit me with a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, leave some cool comments down below, and I appreciate you hanging out with me. Peace out. Later, y'all. Okay, time to go in. It's raining.